Welcome to the Seer Show. Join us as we dive into the dynamic world of health, wellness, mindset, and fitness with the unparalleled guidance of lifelong knowledge seekers, Sifu Rafael and Nikki Gangemi. Sifu and Nikki will unlock groundbreaking insights with extraordinary guests from around the globe. You'll get the latest holistic approaches to well-being with a sharp focus on the powerful connection between mind, body, and soul. Get ready to take the leap. It's time to embrace a brighter and healthier future with us at the Seer Show.
5, 4,
Good morning, Nikki. How are you?
Good morning, Sifu. I'm excellent. How are you doing?
I am exceptional and getting better every day.
Yes, you are. I love it.
I am excited for today's show. We have an incredible guest. We had another guest. Unfortunately, they had a death in the family. So sending prayers to Ray. I know his grandma. He loved her so much. And, you know, sometimes in life things happen. And I know when things clear up for him, I'm sure he'll be back with us. So I just wanted to send out some prayers to him and his family. And but today's topic is really an interesting one, and we have an exceptional human being who's going to be joining us. So without further ado, let's bring Lena in. Good morning, Lena. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited.
Yes, I love our topic. It's going to be a good one.
Mm-hmm. And if you think about it, we're talking about money. And who does not love money?
A lot of people.
I was going to say a lot of people.
They run from it. Listen, money does not grow on trees unless you produce things that are made from trees, right? Like I have a wood shop, so I create things made from trees. But people like, for example, listen, this book, the paper came from a tree. So does money grow on trees or can we use the trees to make money? That's the deal. So it's what you think and how you think. It's all your mindset. So money for me does grow on trees, especially when I'm creating some fine furniture.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah. Money is energy.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I love energy, so therefore I love money.
Yes, there we go. It is safe to love money.
You know, Nikki, it's interesting you bring this up. I had a conversation yesterday with somebody, and we were looking at their relationship with money. And after we said the word relationship like a couple of times in the conversation, it dawned on me that we tend to have similar relationship with money as we have a relationship with a human. So going back to my psychology days, we talked about 3 types of relationship: avoidant, anxious, or safe. So typically, of course, we all strive to have safe relationship, right? So it's balanced, it's comforting, it's give and take, there is reciprocity, we feel each other's scalp, like that. We don't need to say much about that, right? Avoidant relationship is usually when you had a negative experience and now you are so anxious and scared to repeat it, you distance yourself, you avoid it. There are so many people who have like a nasty breakup, and it could be early on, like it could be in childhood, like middle school. And all of a sudden they develop this really avoidant relationship where they're like, you know what? if I don't get my hopes up, I'm not going to get disappointed. The other side of that spectrum is that clingy relationship where there was an element of betrayal, abandonment, and now the person is craving for their deep life. So if we think about our relationship with money, we probably can track it back to our early experiences to help us excavate and kind of get additional clarity around, okay, where am I on this spectrum between avoiding to protect myself? And that's the people who are like, oh, I don't need much. Oh, but I paid my bills. I'm all good. All the way to the anxiety of somebody constantly running to the bank, constantly checking their balances, constantly like balancing their books, like this urgent, anxious energy. Just a thought.
It's fascinating. And what about the safe? You brought up safety as well. So it's the avoidant, the anxious, and then the safe. What does that look like?
So safety is what we strive for, right? It's a happy medium where we feel secure, where we feel confident. And I love to call it calm confidence, where you don't have to bang on your chest. I think, you know, we're in healthy relationships. I met Sifu's significant other. That is a safe relationship. They're present. They are supporting each other, yet each has their own energy space. Each has fulfilling life. Neither one is the better half. Each of them is whole. And so instead of completing each other, they're complementing each other. How does it translate into money? You understand and respect money. You treat it as you treat a friend. Money feels safe. So it comes and actually chooses to stay and perhaps bring its friends. So you have this really healthy exchange where, like, look, money, I understand you need to go and pay for my cable bill, but I'm excited for you to come back. And, you know, then we can hang out and build a fireplace and make marshmallows.
I love that.
I love the concept of community, right? Because the bigger our community, the more conversations we can have in different kinds of conversations. So I like the community of money because you talked about, and I'm going to send you out. I'm going to have you come back. And on Shark Tank, we all know Mr. Wonderful. He loves talking about, he sends all his little army guys to go out there and capture others and come back, right? Not necessarily as not criminals, but he sends them to capture them and bring them back, not as in a negative way, but in a positive way.
Harvesting.
To recruit, if you will, right? To recruit, so that and that's called investing. That's called return on your investment, right? So if I spend $10 and you're going to give me $30 every time I spend $10 with you, I'm going to send you lots of 10s, right? Yeah, have all my 10s. I don't want any 10s. I'm going to give them all to you. But a lot of people don't understand that. And I love what you talked about, relationships. Because if you got burnt in the 8th grade by somebody that you really had your heart set on, and then now you think everybody's exactly like that, you're going to get burnt every time. So therefore, you will always suffer in relationships. And the same things come with money, right? I love this conversation because at one point I'm going to share with you what I taught my children about money, but we'll do that a little later.
Oh, I'm excited to hear that.
It's a beautiful story. I think I have an idea. It's a really great story.
Yeah.
But Sifu, I'll share an experience I had recently. I visited an elderly relative. And my gosh, some of those money beliefs, they go deep. They go deep. So we actually started talking about the want versus the need the entitlement versus worthiness. Of course, the economy, what you should do with money. And so the person goes, come, I'll show you something. So they lead me to the second floor and we go into their walk-in closet. And then they remove a secret door. I'm like, oh my God, where's the camera when you need one? We go into like a secret hideaway. It's almost like a panic room. And there is a safe. And I'm like, oh, wow. Like, what are we going to see? So, of course, I'm a girl, right? I'm like thinking tiaras, necklaces, like bling. So they open that safe and there is cash, like stacks of cash in there. The first thing that I noticed is when they opened that safe, there was like this woof of like a very stuffy, weird air that came out. And the thought that came to my mind is, my gosh, this poor money feels so caged. It is sitting in this locked up, stinky metal box, suffocating. Of course, it's not growing. It has no sunlight, no oxygen, no nurturing. It just sits and wilters like a flower that you don't attend to. The owner of the safe had a different perspective, but I just had to share.
You know what happened? Those dollar bills or whatever they were, hundreds or 20s or 10s, they were prisoners.
Yes.
They were prisoners and they did not see, and they didn't even get to go to the yard. These prisoners get to go to the yard.
It was a hostage situation, I have to say.
Yeah, he was holding.
You reminded me of someone, and this conversation was had yesterday, but it's been had many times. Old-fashioned, older people who don't understand money and they think they have to hoard it, if you will.
Yeah.
When my fiance's mom passed away, she went there to help her stepdad clean out and everything. They went through all the drawers and cleaning out to donate the clothing and all that. And she found thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in different drawers, different spots, envelopes here, there. And she was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So, of course, she's not going to put it in her pocket. So she gave it to her stepdad. She goes, this is all the money I found in mom's stuff. So he's like, oh my gosh. And then, so he had a thought, oh, she didn't trust me, so she hid it. No, because it wasn't about trust. It was about, she forgot it, she put it somewhere, she put it in an envelope, maybe somebody gave her money, she put it in an envelope, put it in a drawer, put it underneath other clothing, forgot it was there. And that happens with anybody who has older parents or so forth. So last week I went to a funeral, and the young lady that we were there for, her dad passed away. And she's talking about, they found money and this and that. And now she went to clean out his drawers. Same thing, found tons of money. She goes, oh my God, so much money we found. She goes, wait a minute. We didn't even go through my mom's stuff. She passed a year earlier. So now she's like, oh, I wonder how much money I'm going to find there. So when we think about it, can we take what we make now with us when we pass? Obviously not. Because they didn't. They left it behind. So instead of just leaving it behind in a drawer, for anybody who's listening and you have stuff in your drawers, put it in a trust. Put it somewhere where it's going to build some money for your children, grandchildren. Heck, send it to me. I'll handle it for you.
You know,
send it to Nikki, send it to Lena. We'll help you guys out.
I would love to help people, because here is one thing, and this is something that I don't know that we talked much about. Yes, Leon, so many little envelopes. Money and abundance is not one and the same. Money and feeling wealthy is not one and the same. It's a mindset. I had a conversation with a person a couple months ago, and it's an established business owner, and they're kind of at that revenue plateau phase when they just keep putting a lot of effort and not getting equal return, right? So like their ROE, return on energy, is not really feeding their ROI.
Right.
And so in like this moment of desperation, she goes, if I can just hit this number and have it deposited to my account, I would feel so amazing. And I said, no, you won't. She said, what do you mean? I said, no, you won't. Because if you did, you would. What would happen if that money was deposited to your account? Person got very quiet. She goes, you're right, I wouldn't. Because I would be treated as a cash cow in my family. That is the dominant intent. That is the main frequency that person mindset is operating on. That it's safer for me to have less. Therefore, I will not be taken advantage of. This is the avoidant relationship with money. I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to get disappointed. So I would rather keep it at the arm's length and not even. And listen, I'm not a saint. I don't walk on water. I have my personal trash stories. When I was little, we're talking little, like 5, 6 years old, I wanted to have a puppy in the worst way. Like I was obsessed with having a dog. My mom is afraid of animals, like literally actual phobia. But she wanted to meet halfway. So with best intentions, for Christmas, they got me a plush toy puppy. Well, that was one of the biggest disappointments of my childhood. Now, I was 5. I didn't process. It just imprinted. But the message was, I ask, I don't receive. I don't want to feel that way. I'm not going to ask. Took years for my husband to dig up this story because he was going nuts for years saying, what do you want for Christmas? What do you want for birthday? And I'm like, nothing. I want nothing. I want nothing. And he's like, you're weird. Did something happen? Nothing happened. Nothing happened. And then finally it clicked for me. I just didn't want that feeling of disappointment. And to this day, I am probably the worst person to surprise because I get this deer in a headlight look. I'm like, don't surprise me. Let's plan it. So those stories go back. So that's the avoidant relationship.
So, Lena, it just tells me that you liked planned surprises.
They're like kids. They're like, how when they were little and they would like jump out and try to scare you? Yeah. I was like, you do it one more time, we're looking for a forever home for you.
That's funny. And I would guess that you don't have, you mentioned the plush puppy, that was a disappointment. That I would guess that you don't have fake plants in your house like I do, that you have the real plants that you need to have sunlight and water for.
I do love real plants. I really do. And to me, that's the difference between life energy and presence of the absence. I'm one of those people, if you send me a text message, I will reply with a voice note. Like if you're my friend, I'm not going to send you happy birthday. I'm going to leave a singing happy birthday message because our voice carries a frequency. And we can tune in and get an idea what the person actually means versus what they're typing. I tell my clients all the time, leave me a voice note. Whether you're having an amazing win or you're about to file bankruptcy, I need you to leave me a voice note. Don't type.
Yeah.
You want to feel that energy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and you know what? Energy is everywhere. But I think that it has become such a cliche that people almost like glaze over it. And that's why I use a lot of analogies, because if we think of money as something that is near and dear to us, puppies, always puppies. How do you treat your puppy? You take care of it, right? Like you don't want it running around and pissing on your neighbor's yard and getting in trouble and chewing on the wires, right? You're taking care of it. Now, if you have a large breed, like we have Dobermans, you probably want to have a trainer to help tame them so that they are not a liability. They're actually a member of the family. Think of your money this way. You don't have to know everything there is to know. There are money trainers, advisors, wealth coaches, tax strategists. If you don't know how to do something, look for your who. If you don't know how to train your Doberman, you're going to find the who, the trainer. Same concept with money.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
The fact of training, right? You know, I'm a personal trainer. I train people in all different aspects. And it's very interesting when I see people who come to train with me and they're YouTube trained. I'm like, wow, you are so amazing. And you're doing that wrong. And you're going to hurt yourself.
It's true.
And the same thing comes with money. If you don't understand it, you're going to get burned.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so a lot of people, and you can talk to us about this, Lena. Why is it important for someone to hire someone like yourself, or anybody who deals with money on a regular basis, who understands money, and they actually have to pay someone to help them with money? So wait a minute. They have to pay to make. Interesting concept.
Reciprocity. So if you think about it, why do we hire a trainer? To get better, right? What is the responsibility of the coach? It's to improve your game. So I think a lot of people feel that asking for help is a sign of weakness. Like that is such a testament to your strength, because I actually say when you are interviewing a coach to potentially hire them and they don't have a coach, be careful, because that person is becoming stale. They're not developing. They're probably not going to be as effective helping you. The reason having somebody in your corner to help you untangle money stories is so critical is because a lot of those stories don't come with a name tag. Hi, I'm here to sabotage you. As the matter of fact, most of the money blocks are highly strategic, very intelligent, and exceptionally normalized.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times, they're the quiet resistance creators that you don't even think are the problem. And it usually takes somebody, a bystander, to ask you questions for you to say, wait a minute, actually, that doesn't really serve me now, does it? I'll use myself as an example. I use the same scenario teaching my workshops over and over, talking about how if we repeat a thought enough times, we literally give it density and create a belief. And it doesn't matter if it's a positive thought or a negative thought, it will convert into belief. The difference will be it's either the stepping stone or a block, a limiting belief. And I said, for example, I went for years saying, I hate sale. I suck at sale. And I said it enough times that I believed it. And then I paused. People thought my Zoom froze. But I was like, wait a minute. I've been saying it for years. And now it is so solid that many times, even when the person is trying to enroll with me, I would sometimes throw them out because I so much believe that I'm terrible at sales. So what did I do? I hired a sales coach. I reached out to somebody that I have a lot of respect for, and I said, I would love for you to make me awesome. And I want you to cure me of this misconception that sale is yucky and terrible, and help me position it as an act of service. And you know what he said to me? I'm so glad you came, because you were ripping off so many people by not bringing your solution to them. It was really irresponsible of you. And I was like, wow, okay, backhanded compliment. But that was so
Go ahead.
I would say, can you do your own taxes? You can. Would hiring a tax strategist benefit you? Sure. Can you cut your own hair? Probably. Nikki and I have a different concept, right? So I would say a lot of times people look at it as a lifetime commitment. Hire a coach for 3 months. Get the baseline, go all in, allow for the transformation, and then reevaluate in 3 months. Maybe it is all that it takes. But do something, like initiate, create the momentum. Because if nothing changes, nothing changes.
I love the concept of, I'm getting echo. I love the concept of paying for someone else's mistakes. What that means is they've already made the mistakes, and that's why they're going to coach me so that I don't make the same mistakes. So this is why sometimes I've had several coaches at the same time, because I want to pay for the mistakes they've made and the lessons they've learned so I don't make them. And instead of me accumulating all those mistakes myself, that's why sometimes I've paid tons of money to some of my coaches, because they've saved me. Right? If somebody says, don't swim in that water, there's alligators there, I'm not going to go in that water. But if I didn't have somebody coaching me who's already, they have the little bit of bite marks, if you will, and then I go, oh, I'm just going to go in that water, and nobody tells me anything, then I'm going to have to swim on my own and not know better. So it's always better to have somebody's advice, but also we have to be careful of the advice that someone gives us. So we have to be, I think, diligent in understanding what waters we're going to be swimming in if we are going to go swimming, right? I think that's an important aspect as well.
Yeah, and paying attention to how you feel, like you brought up, pay attention to the advice you're given. I've been given advice from different people, including coaches that I've worked with, and there were times where it felt out of alignment. Like I did what I was told to do, like a business strategy, for example, but it didn't sit well with me, and I did it anyway. And do you think I got the result that the other person got? No, I didn't, because of the energy behind it. So it's like, trust your body. Your body knows, it has a lot of wisdom. If something doesn't feel good, then maybe that's not the right thing for you to do at that time.
I love that so much, Nikki, because I believe that It's not even I believe, I know. We're all born with that internal GPS. And that feeling of knowing, of either, oh yeah, that sounds good. Maybe it's uncomfortable because it's new, but it's something worth trying, versus something that truly makes you cringe. I always tell people, trust that feeling. Don't override the GPS. Can you? Yes. I mean, we always know the shortcut. But if you just key in the destination where you had it, allow that GPS to guide you. That is your intuition. That is your higher knowing. And you know what? I mean, not to get scientific over here, but it's a proven fact that the electromagnetic field of our heart is 60 times greater than our mind. In fact, studies have shown that our heart and our brain is made up of pretty much the same type of cells. We're not raised like that. We're raised to think, to analyze, to build patterns. But here's the trick. You can't create on patterns. Patterns come from what you have already done. So many people recreate their reality day after day, because all they're doing is they are going back on patterns. In order to create something new, you need that leap of faith. You need that trust into, well, let me see. And that's the thing. I feel like as a society, especially, Western society, we're so afraid to fail. We're so afraid to fail. And I'm like, what is the definition of a failure? Like,
You're looking at it right here.
But honestly, right? We started this conversation before you went live talking about pivots.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot fail unless you choose to quit and stop. And even that isn't a failure, that is a termination of a mission. But as long as you're staying in the game, as long as you're pivoting, it's work in progress.
That's why I use a pencil that has an eraser at the end. But sometimes I'm so confident I will use a pen.
There you go. I love that.
So, yeah, we were talking about pivoting, and I want to just jump on it really quick, because when we set our mind to do something and we have conviction behind it, we have determination, we're committed, we go in. But when something stops everything and we think we have to pivot, we chase what's the fastest thing to get back to where we were. And somebody who was in the fitness industry lost their position. And what they did is, because they were hyping up what fitness really is, eating right, working out constantly, and they pivoted to selling fast food, to not caring about the people they're actually serving. Maybe they do care, but their main target now is, I need to reclaim my money aspects, because I still have to live. Yes, I lost my other business, but now I have to go ahead and consider, I have a mortgage, I have kids, whatever it is that they have to consider. And they say, what's the fastest way for me to maintain what I lost? And therefore, I'm just going to do whatever in order to reclaim that. So sometimes we pivot without long-term ideas or effects, because we go back, like you talked about, the pattern of what I used to do. And in the past, that's what they used to do. So they fell back onto what they used to do, instead of, how can I pivot to become better?
I don't know that that's
huge.
It, to me, it sounds like a panic.
Yeah.
And listen, There is no judgment whatsoever here. As a matter of fact, I am wearing my panic. So this was my first business that I had to fold. It was custom jewelry. It was all, whole party based, and it didn't take off. It's beautiful. I still have these pieces. I wear them, but it didn't take off.
And it's very nice looking, by the way.
Thank you.
It's actually beautiful.
Now, there was a moment where I felt like I'm just going to sell it off. Like, I don't want to see it. I want to erase it. It's a failure.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized that she is the one who created me. And what she has gone through, not all of it was terrible. So there were some beautiful parties. There were some incredible friends reunions over these pieces, like girlfriends coming together, having fantastic time. So not all of it was bad. But what she taught me was how to pivot, meaning decide what you love, recognize that what's not working is just a point of clarity. That's the universal law of contrast. We gain clarity when we realize that this is something we don't want. And then we can decide where we pivot to what we do want. Unfortunately, right now, and I talk a lot about it lately, we have an epidemic lately of I don't want tos. We have thousands, tens of thousands of people walking around speaking into existence what they don't want. I don't want this. I don't like that. I don't appreciate this. And by law, when you put so much energy towards something, it has no choice but to grow. Because energy expands. So if our focus is on what we don't want, we're going to grow it. So to me, the pivot is, okay, you feel the contrast. It's kind of like if you are outside and you feel chilly. That's the point of clarity. Now you get to decide. Are you going to start complaining about how the weather is terrible? It's another terrible spring and I don't have anything to wear. Or you say, okay, I'm chilly. What do I want? I want to feel warm and comfortable. So what do? I run, I jog. Maybe I go inside and get a jacket. Maybe I grab a cup of coffee. But you then take action towards what you want. So for somebody who is in health and wellness industry, and let's say their current model served its purpose, it didn't fail. It served its purpose. What I would love for them to consider is what did they love about it? And then pivot, not panic, pivot to how they can bring more of that back into their life and lives of others who are absolutely looking for their expertise in health and wellness.
That is a great point. Pivot and not panic. I remember one of the first pivots I made was from acting to teaching. Acting was something that I wanted to do since I was a kid. I moved out to LA at 23 to give myself a shot. And then when I gave up on it 1 year later and came back home, like you said with your jewelry, except you're embracing it, your jewelry business did not go the way you wanted it to, but you're still wearing it. I did the opposite. I said, I want nothing to do with acting. It's done. People said, oh, why don't you teach it? You could be an acting teacher. Nope, don't want to teach it. I ended up becoming an elementary school teacher and disliked it. But I'm wondering now, as like we're having this conversation, what if I were to wear the jewelry? What if I were to embrace it and did, teach that? So it's interesting because like it makes me think of a hose. The water's running through the hose. When you squeeze it, you stop the flow, you stop the water. And when you push something away, like I'm not going to do anything in fitness or I'm not going to do anything in acting, what else are we pushing away? It's that energy. We're going back to energy. So I just find it interesting.
if you think about what you both spoke about, it's the energy of either accepting or pushing, right? And Lena, when you decided, you know what, I learned a lot. I had fun with it. Yeah, it didn't go the way I wanted it, but the lessons you learned, the woman you became, was because you took a dive, you jumped in that water. And Nikki, when you think about what you learned in Hollywood, if you will, uh, you're a great actor. You're the best Nikki Gangemi I've ever met, right? So we should never give up on what we've done, because our past, we may not like what happened, but it taught us how to move forward. And every day when this is why I say I'm getting better every day, right? Exceptional and getting better every day, because yesterday taught me something. It taught me how to be better. And if I stay where I was yesterday, how could I be better today? I can't. So every day is a growth. Every day I look back on my day, and I was telling my community in health and fitness, I was telling them, I want you to do me a favor for the next 30 days. At the end of your day, if you have a physical calendar or even a Google calendar, somehow put a little happy face on it, or put a sad face, or put a straight line face, do a little drawing of a face and straight line, like it was an okay day, or it was a happy day, or it was a sad day. And so that at the end of 30 days, you can go back and see, what was I doing the last 30 days, and how can I make it better for the next 30 days? And so therefore we continue to learn and grow, but we also have to look back at what we've done. So we have I love journals. So a journal of, what did I do last Tuesday or Tuesday 2 years ago? So I don't want to do that mistake again, or how can I improve upon it? And every day we have that opportunity. But if we let go of who we've become, how can we grow? I don't see it. I think you both are exceptional human beings, by the way.
Thank you. Well, it takes one to recognize one.
That's cool.
And I would actually love to hear the story of what you taught your kids about money. And I will preface it with a little story about my daughter, because honestly, when people say, what is the biggest benefit from the work that you do? And I always say, it's my kids learning how to live life by design versus by default.
Absolutely.
So I have a 16-year-old, and summer is coming, so she's looking to pick up several summer jobs. And we have a local Mexican restaurant that is family owned. With all of the beauty and all of the chaos of a small, privately family owned food business. Enough said. She got a temp job as a hostess. Yesterday was her second day. Yesterday was Taco Tuesday on Cinco de Mayo.
Busy.
So she went to school, right? I mean, she's a junior in high school. So she went to school. She left school, drove right to the restaurant, changed in the bathroom, and got right on the floor. And when you work for a small family business, it doesn't matter what your title is. You are the hostess, but also you fold the silverware, you wash the menu, you help in the kitchen, which, by the way, the entire staff in the kitchen only speaks Spanish. She doesn't speak a lick of Spanish. She got home last night at 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock at night. I looked at her and said, how did it go? She goes, Mom, it was insane. I don't know how I survived. There were people who were so nice, and there were people who yelled in my face like I have never been yelled at in my life. We had DoorDash drivers standing like wrapping around the building. We had people waiting for hours. at some point, I had to run into the kitchen and cry behind the dishwasher so nobody could see me. I said, so what's the verdict? She goes, it was amazing. I felt like such a part of the family. They all supported me. They gave me high fives. I cannot wait to go back. Now, mind you, as a hostess, she makes minimal wage. She makes no tips. So it's not that volume monetized in tips like it did for her brother, who is a waiter there. But when she got home, she was like, it was amazing. Was it? I had to like swallow back tears. I'm like, okay, I want to talk to that person who yelled at my kid because we might actually have to throat punch. But she was like, Mom, you know what? The entire restaurant felt bad for me and eyed her like, what are you doing yelling at a kid over a taco, right? It was a mindset. And when I was telling my husband this, I'm like, what do you think? Should she be going back? He's like, yes. This is the person who I would consider to be my co-pilot because she is going to land the plane. Does she need the money? No. Does she want to be part of that experience of that team? Yes. And maybe one day, I don't know, she'll own a restaurant or maybe she'll never work in a restaurant business. But it was such an interesting experience for me as a mother because I was standing there mortified, taking it all in. And I was like, what's the verdict? It was amazing. Okay.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a great story.
So this is what I did for my kids when 3 and 6 years old. I took them to the bank. And the bank used to give out little piggy banks. And I got 4 piggy banks for each of them. At the same time, I opened up 4 accounts for each of them. So you can only imagine that the person helping us was patient because I told them what I was going to do. I said, I need to open up 8 accounts today. And each one is for these different, each one is for each of these kids. Okay, we go home and I tell the kids, these are yours. Let's have some fun. We did arts and crafts, glue, coloring, paper. They covered each piggy bank and made it their own. And I said, each piggy bank is special. Each one has to have a title and it has to have a purpose. And each one is, and they're like, why do we have 4, Dad? Why couldn't we just get 1? I said, because each one is special. So the first one is for savings. That's number 1. Number 2, investing. Number 3, tithing. What is tithing? When you give money away. Oh, why am I going to give my money away? And I got to put in a piggy bank and then give it away? Dad, that's crazy. I said, wait. The 4th one, for fun. The fun, that's the one. Can we put a lot of money in the fun one? I'm like, no. So on your birthday or whenever, Christmas, any holidays, even if I give you money, you have to split it 4 ways. If I give you $20, 5 goes in each. If I give you $10, you got to figure it out. So now they were doing math in their heads. Because also when I drove with them, I gave them the times table. They had another times table. So they would have to understand everything about math. And then one of my sons now, he's going to be 22, could retire at this point. He calls me up and goes, Dad, I got another sports car. I'm like, what are you doing? You have so many sports cars. I said, what are you doing? He goes, Dad, don't worry. That's with my fun money. I said, okay. I said, just do me a favor, don't have an accident. Right? And my other son, who's a phenomenal human being, also understands all the concepts. He's 25. He's also one of my coaches in one of my programs, but he's also a chef and a professional bodybuilder. And so they both understood the concept of the 4 piggy banks. They still use that concept today. So they do donate. They do. Obviously, my other one is he works 5 to 45 minutes a day. That's all he does. He does day trading. Guess what? He understands money. So when we think about what we can teach our kids, we need to teach them what they don't teach in school. Did anybody here ever learn anything about money in school? Probably not. Unless you went for an accounting class and all they told you is how to help somebody else's money, not your own. So think about that. And with that, I know we are at the top of the hour. We got a boogie because I have another show, believe it or not. So, Lena, before we go, I would love for somebody to, we're going to put your information across the screen, and then you have about 45 seconds. Tell us why somebody should connect with you.
I will share this thought that actually a friend of mine told me, and I now throw it around like confetti. You cannot build a 7-figure business on a $7 mindset. So if you are awesome and you are looking to become awesomer, I would love to be in your corner, and I would love to build that additional space for more opportunities, higher caliber business, just more abundance to come in without more effort. Because if effort equaled output, our public school teachers and construction workers would have been driving Maseratis. That's it for me.
I love it. I love it. Nikki, you're up.
That's great. Thank you, Sifu. And I'm Nikki Gangemi, personal trainer for your mind, working with those high achievers who struggle with overthinking and put a lot of pressure on themselves. I have helped you to stop those patterns that are running the show so that you can lead with calm, confidence, and clarity. And I'll turn it over to you, Sifu.
Well, I'm Sifu Rafael. What can I say? If you ever want to get on a show, I do happen to only have about 10, just about 10. I also put you on stages. We do live events and so forth. I'd love for you to have a conversation. And when it comes to business, I love business because I have so many of them, right? And for me, it's my goal in life is how can I help? And when God put it on my mind, day in and day out, he said, you have to help as many people as you can in whatever capacity they need. So that's where I am. And that's who I am. Thank you, everybody. God bless. I got to run to my next show because, yes, I do have that many.
Abundance.
God bless you, everybody.
Bye.